Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. It's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.
That sound means it's time for Cavs on the Break NBA podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network. I am your host, Chase Smith, and with me, he covers your Cleveland Cavaliers for Sports Illustrated, the one, the only Sam Amico. Sam, the draft lottery has come and gone. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing better than the Cavs after the draft lottery, as you know, but they probably wish that they could redo the draft lottery once again. But
it does feel weird, though, complaining about draft luck as a Cavs fan, given 3 first picks in the 2010s, right? In the last 17 years, essentially.
Well, yeah, with LeBron and then Kyrie and Andrew Wiggins and Anthony Bennett, not in that order. I got Bennett Wiggins mixed up. But there's 4 since 2003 number 1 picks.
Yeah. So it does feel weird saying, hey, the past 2 years we got hosed because we didn't have but alas, we had some of the best odds, and we could have very easily gotten the first pick last year, and this year it did not happen. Again, we're picking 5th. Sam, talk us off the ledge if any Cavs fans are on the ledge.
Well, there are some intriguing players, and I don't think that there's going to be, at least the experts who pay real close attention to the draft, the scouts that I've talked to, don't think there's going to be, last year in the draft, it was a disappointment not to end up with Zion Williamson or Morant. Okay. Now, the year before that. So this year is the drop off between, say, the top 3 are pretty much going to be in no particular order: Anthony Edwards, LaMelo Ball, James Wiseman. Those are kind of the big 3, but they aren't Zion and Ja Morant. They're just those 3 aren't looked at as, kind of those franchise changing guys. So the drop off from those top 3 to 5th isn't considered that large. You could probably get, a player who's comparable at 5 as you can a player at 1. At least that's the philosophy heading into the draft. Now, there's been some really good players in the NBA throughout history drafted at number 5. There's been some really good players drafted at 15, so you never really know. This is one of those drafts that's kind of looked at as not a great draft. So there's going to be a diamond in the rough. There really is. There always is. And that's what the Cavs are hoping for if they end up keeping this pick, which we'll get into, I'm sure, throughout the podcast.
And it's so hard to judge a draft, one, even before the draft happens, but also immediately after the draft. You really can't tell the value of a draft until 3, 5, 7 years after the initial draft. And even then, those grades can change from the night of the draft to 3 years to 5 years later as players grow and develop and change and grow into their own. There have been some drafts that people said weren't as strong, but they go back and look, and all of a sudden it was a deep draft. And maybe they didn't have those super duper stars, but pick 15, 22, they're still drafting players that are crunch time players that are either giving you solid playoff minutes or coming off the bench. And so just because they don't maybe not have that Zion, Luka, super duper star, they could still find some very valuable pieces, Sam. And the Cavs are going to look to do that at number 5. Sam, if you had the pick, who would you draft or would you trade? What would GM Sam Amico do with the Cavs pick at 5 with this current roster?
The first thing I would do, honestly, is look to trade. I think that you have a second-year player this past year in Colin Sexton, and these are your key players here. You've got, Darius Garland, who is a rookie, Kevin Porter Jr., who is a rookie, Dylan Windler, who will be a rookie after having missed all of last season. You've got Cedi Osman, who was in his third year, will be entering his 4th. You've got a lot of youth at those key wing positions And I think that, with Kevin Love, Larry Nance, Andre Drummond, maybe you can add another young player in the front court. I think, frankly, Chase, just to the story tonight, that the salary cap's going to go so low for 2021 that I think most of those free agents are going to sign one-year deals with their current team. So I think you may be looking at least one more year with Tristan Thompson. So if I'm the Cavs, I would try to use that pick in a package to get at least a younger veteran type player for the backcourt, because you're so young back there that and if you do, let's say you draft Chase, let's say you draft a guy at 5 who's a power forward type, because there are plenty of them available who could go in the 4 to 7 range.
Yep. Yeah.
If you are to draft one of those guys, they may just be sitting on the bench. Say if Drummond, Love, Larry Nance Jr., Tristan are all back, you may have a rookie who's not getting many minutes, your number 5 pick. So I frankly, that would be my first priority, is to trade it in a package. You may not be getting a Ben Simmons superstar, but that would be my first thing I would check. Can I get a guy like Simmons who will help change the course of the franchise? If I can't do that, I'm going to go after a veteran player who can help immediately, in the 22 age to 26, 27 age range.
I'm looking at picks here 4 through 14 on this mock draft I'm looking at, and only one of them is not a forward. So
yeah.
And it seems like that's kind of where they're all maybe even ranked, that there's not one maybe that you would want above the rest, but it does seem kind of like a very even draft. There are a couple names that do stick out, and the Cavs may be hoping a player like if they are going to make the pick, like a Topin drops, or Okongwu maybe falls to the lap at 5 if he's still there. But so Sam, you're saying you would trade the pick and kind of give the young core more time to grow and develop before they make a decision.
Yeah, depending on what is out there, who's available. We heard we spent the last podcast talking about Ben Simmons.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was fun. Elton Brand, the Sixers GM, said he's not getting traded. Yeah. They're going to bring in a new coach and try to make Embiid and Simmons work. And I think that's really what they're going to do. Now, maybe he becomes available at another time. But, and look, if you're the Cavs, you may have no choice but to take the guy because of the way the salary cap's there are two things about the salary cap to keep in mind. One, it's going to hurt free agency, probably a lot. Free agents are really going to be impacted because teams are going to be looking to clear cap space so that they're not paying luxury tax out the wazoo, which is going to be the case because the salary cap is going to come down so much because of all the lost revenue from this season. That's the layman's version of that. What it's going to be a good season, off season for because of that is going to be trades. Teams are going to want to shed salary. And in order to do that, they're going to have to give up players. I think this season, off season, more than any in our lifetime, we're going to see really good players being on the move in trades because teams want to unload salary. That could mean Kevin Love. If the Cavs, Drummond's obviously going to opt in, so that's really going to put the Cavs over the cap, and that may mean let's liquidate some of these salaries off our roster if we can. So that said, I think that this is going to be such a good season for trades that the Cavs are going to really have an opportunity to package this pick and maybe another young player or two and get somebody really good. If that doesn't happen, as you were saying, Chase, they very well could end up using this number 5 pick. That could be the scenario. And if they did, the names that you mentioned, Okongwu from USC, Obi Toppin from Dayton, A lot of people, I've seen a lot of fans tweet at me or email me or whatever, have said they really like Toppin. And the kid from Israel, Denny Adija, I believe is his last name. He's a guy who's a possibility. I've heard that the Cavs like him. I've heard that the Cavs really like Devin Vassell from Florida State, who is projected to go more in the like 7 to 11 range, but could end up being a sleeper. He's a small forward type, shooting guard type, 6'7". So I think that those guys are the names you're kind of looking at if they end up keeping that pick.
Sam, would you read a lot into what the Cavs do here at 5? Would you read a lot into trading a pick or taking a player? Like, for instance, if they do take a power forward, would you say the odds of them moving on from Kevin Love would be greater? Like, is that reading too much into what they do here? Is that putting too much stock into their actions here at 5?
Oh, well, a little bit, because they could, look, they could end up keeping Kevin Love, who is no spring chicken anymore in NBA terms, and, get a guy and develop him behind Love and Larry Nance Jr. Just because they draft, it would, let me tell you this, it would make the front court players, having been around the NBA enough, I could tell you that if they draft a power forward or center, the other players would at first be nervous about that. The veterans would be like, well, why are they drafting a guy at my position? That happens every year. Sure. No matter who gets drafted. Last year, Colin Sexton was thinking, why are they drafting Darius Garland? Yeah. And, then he figured it out. So I think that said, when they do draft, if they do draft a power forward, Love and Nance Jr. can help bring this guy along and help prepare him to the future. That may be a possibility. They could draft a Toppin or the kid from USC whose name I sadly have issue pronouncing, but I know he's a really nice player. He's probably the guy, even though I have them taking Toppin in my mock draft, I think I would go with the kid from USC right now, just from everything I've heard about him. And you can develop him, and he could take Ante Zizic's role in terms of minutes and developing and learning. Zizic, of course, signed with Maccabi Tel Aviv today, so he's gone. And, so that's not to say he would be the same type of player. It's just to say those minutes are going to be available. And that type of, you wouldn't have to throw the guy into action right away if you didn't want to, no matter who you took at 5.
Sam, I have to ask, what do the Cavs do if LaMelo Ball is sitting there on the board and the Cavs run the clock at 5? Do you see the Cavs drafting LaMelo Ball?
Yeah, absolutely. If he fell to 5, yeah. There have been surprises in these drafts. Mm-hmm. When there's no, last year you knew there wasn't going to be any surprise. Zion was going 1, Morant was going 2. A draft like this that is unpredictable, there could be franchises that don't frankly want to, maybe the Golden State Warriors, Minnesota Timberwolves, Charlotte Hornets, and Chicago Bulls, all the teams out of the Cavs think, you know what, LaMelo is not good enough for us to put up with LeVar. And maybe, I doubt that they think that, but that's a possibility. We don't want to have to listen to LeVar trashing our coach, talking about how great LaMelo is, talking about how we need to trade for Lonzo. And, maybe they don't want that. Now, if they think LaMelo is a franchise-changing player, none of that's going to matter. But if they do, and he should fall a little bit, then yeah, they would take him. If they thought Halliburton, who's a 6'5" point guard, if they thought that he was going to be better than Garland or some of those other guys, or I don't think Garland's really the point guard. If they think Halliburton's going to be better than him, they're not going to care. They will draft him. People, when you win 19 games 2 straight years, you're not worried about drafting for a position. You're you're going to, let's say it is Halliburton or LaMelo drops. And they think that guy, if that guy's the top of their draft board right there, that's who they're going to take. And they're going to say, you know what, we're going to let these guys battle it out in camp, and one of them is going to lose, and whoever loses, we'll probably end up trading. So there's a lot of different philosophies behind the draft, but the number one thing that really is lost on fans, I think, a lot, is you draft the best player regardless, and you make it work, because you don't want to say, you know what, well, we had to draft a power forward, or a center, so we ended up drafting Sam Bowie instead of Michael Jordan. You don't want to do that. Well, we needed a center. Yeah, well, guess what? You gave up on the greatest player, arguably the greatest player in the history of the game, because you drafted for position. And you never want to do that when you're making a pick in the NBA draft, regardless of who else is on the team.
So, Sam, in your mock, you have the Cavs taking Obi Toppin. I hope the Cavs, I hope Onyeka Okongwu drops, the center from USC. But, Sam, you really believe the Cavs are going to trade this pick. Let's talk about that. Who would be some trade partners that the Cavs could be fielding calls or calling to as they look to do something with this number 5 pick? What are you hearing?
Well, first of all, if you're going to trade the number 5 pick, let's say you can't package it for a guy like Simmons. He's not available.
Yeah.
So what you're going to do more or less is probably look to trade down, acquire another pick. But again, in the Cavs situation, they want a decent young player should they move down. Boston is a team that doesn't, again, the Celtics again have 3 first-round picks. The Celtics do not want one of them. They don't need them. They're a veteran team that's playing for championship, and they don't want to bring in 3 rookies. Maybe bring in 1, but I don't even think they care about that.
Right now, they're at 14, 26, and 30 in the first
Yeah.
round.
So I mean, theoretically, the Cavs could trade. The Cavs could trade that pick to Boston, get those other 3, and maybe a young player. Now, I don't know who that would be. Now, maybe the Celtics are saying, look, we got to unload Gordon Hayward. And we just can't afford him. The salary cap's going down. We got to do something. So, is that an opportunity for the Cavs to say, okay, we'll give you 5, you give us 14, 26, and we'll take Hayward off your hands? Obviously, the Cavs would have to give back some salary somehow, some way. And I'm not looking at all the numbers, but the point is that's where a number 5 pick comes into play in some sort of package, right? Now, Boston is a team who definitely doesn't want any of those picks. The Lakers don't want their pick, and their trade. We see the Lakers every year since the GM has been there. He's always trading his pick, and he's almost always trading with the Cavs. Doesn't seem like the Lakers trade with the Cavs a lot.
Yeah.
So
I was thinking that way about the Celtics too. Gosh, can we just not trade with those guys?
Yeah, it's like the two biggest franchises traditionally are always trading with the Cavs. But what's his name with the Lakers, particularly Rob Pelinka, the general manager, it seems like he wants to pick. The Lakers are at 28. So again, if the Lakers are trading that pick and they want the 5th, they're going to have to give you. If I'm the Cavs, I'm saying Kuzma, which right now the Lakers wouldn't do. But again, these are hypotheticals to kind of show you what some of these other teams want to do. I know Washington really badly wants to move up, but I think they want to move up higher than 5th. But still, Washington is a team that's kind of looking to shake things up, other than, with Wall and Beal and Bertans coming back. Those 3, they're trying to create a little bit of buzz, like the Cavs are. The Cavs want to create some buzz with this draft, and get fans excited again. At least, theoretically, we're going to be decent again with the moves we make this offseason, is what they want fans to believe.
You want to talk about the bubble in the playoffs, or and talk about the Lakers. How do you feel about that, Sam? So let's talk awards. We won't talk too long because they're still being released. Giannis announced today Defensive Player of the Year. Sam, if he wins MVP, correct me if I'm wrong, but the only other person to win MVP and Defensive Player of the Year was Jordan. Am I right?
Boy, I wish I knew. You know what, Chase? And I don't know that I've admitted this to my readers very often or listeners, but I'm not a big awards guy.
Yeah.
I appreciate them, but I'm just not I don't pay attention to them as much because I think, to me, all that really matters as a fan of the game for 30 years now, maybe more. I've always just enjoyed the way the game is played for the most part.
Jordan and Olajuwon are the only.
I think
two
David
players.
Robinson didn't David Robinson or Jordan
not the same year. Not the same year.
Oh, okay, okay.
But
they've so it'd be Jordan and Olajuwon. That makes sense. Yeah, I frankly think, and maybe this will be outdated by the time the podcast is actually heard by people, but I personally think LeBron's going to win MVP. Though I think it's going to be close. I think, Giannis again was the best player on the best team. I just think a lot of people are going to vote for LeBron this year because the Lakers had such a resurgence and he stayed healthy and all that. So
that would be like a kind of like a career achievement. Maybe he didn't have the best statistical season, but he's just spent year 17 still at it, still leading, still one of the best players in the league, if not the best. And maybe they gave Giannis the DP because he wasn't winning MVP. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just trying to.
It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. I think he's got a good shot. Don't get me wrong. I think he's got a really good shot. At Giannis has at the MVP, but I just think that and I do. I think LeBron had a pretty good season. He's not as explosive, and I say this as a guy who watches him still in amazement.
Yeah.
But he's changed. He's not that Miami Heat early CAVS, even 2016 CAVS guy where he's just going to barrel down the lane and throw one down all the time.
Yeah.
He still can do that, but he's just it's just. I've noticed this even in Jordan. I was old enough to see him in his prime. 35, 36 is when you just start to lose that step, no matter how great you are. And LeBron's coming off a phenomenal game. As I say that, he missed 2 shots, had 30 points in game 4 against the Blazers. So I think this is his last opportunity to probably win that award.
People have been saying that, Sam, about LeBron. This is his last chance for the finals. This is his last chance, I feel like, for the last 4 seasons. I saw a tweet, and I wish I could give them credit, but the tweet said it wasn't – so this was the tweet was like, LeBron, welcome to the Western Conference. No, scratch that. Western Conference, welcome to LeBron.
Yeah.
Like after that playoff game.
And I've thought about it, Chase. I think about, the greats before him. I think we've got, he's 35. I think we've got probably next year and the year after, where he's near the top of the league. And then really, unless he can somehow defy what everybody else has been unable to, we're going to see that decline. I don't know how rapid it'll be, but I mean, my point is I still think he's going to be a pretty good NBA player at 39, and that's after that. I can't say that he will be after that. I've just never seen it. I've seen guys be decent at 40 and starter worthy material at 40, but that's rare. It's really rare. So,
I have a LeBron theory. I think he's going to stay in the league until Bronny enters the league. I think he wants to play either with or against his son for 1 season.
Yeah, I could see that happening. It'll be interesting to see what type of player Bronny is. he's got, the kid's got a ton of talent, and I don't know,
He's
I don't
almost. He turned 16. I just looked him up on Google, which is weird.
yeah,
He turned 16 in October.
right,
So that's
right.
3 to 4 more years, depending on if they eliminate the college rule, it's a little sooner, or if he goes and plays semi-pro. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of options for him to do. But I
Right. Yeah.
the
So
college
so
route
you
for a
so you
year.
look at I think 3 more years, and LeBron will certainly
That's
unless
my
something he almost certainly will be in the league at that stage, and I would think in 3 more years with his production. I have to say something about Bronny, and I believe his other son is Bryce. I can't. I'm forgive me for not knowing their names.
You're forgiven. I don't know that. I don't know.
But they're both very talented.
Yeah.
And I will say this, I haven't played with them, but I had friends who went to the wellness center in Bath there that LeBron's family is members of, and they played with it. His kids came in and played. They were, grown-ups, 20, 25, 35, 40 years old, and LeBron's sons, wanted to play, and they said, yeah, sure.
Right.
And they said, my buddies who played with them said they could not have been nicer, more well-adjusted, just they sung their praises. Just great kids, and they said it was such a pleasure to play with them because they were not arrogant or and they're kids. They're LeBron's kids. You'd have a reason to be arrogant, and you're 12, 13 years old at that point, and most kids at that age. But they said they were just so unbelievably impressed with him, and I think that really sticks with me, because every time I've talked to LeBron one-on-one, he's been nothing but cordial. So it's good to see, and it's always good to hear stories like that the kids turned out great. So it'll be interesting to see, though. And I think you're right. I think if Bronny gets to the NBA, LeBron will be wanting to play either against him or with him for at least a season.
Yeah. One final topic, Sam, and we have to, just because it was incredible. Can we talk Luka Doncic for a little bit?
The guy is amazing, just amazing. I haven't you get impressed with guys every once in a while. The Durants, obviously LeBron's, Giannis. I know I'm missing some in there. James Harden, Curry. I mean, these guys are, and he's right up there already. He's phenomenal. I mean, he's you can't guard him, and there are only a handful of guys you can say that about in the league right now. That you can put your best defender on him, it's not going to matter. You can double team him, it's not going to matter. He's just too uncanny, too skilled, he's got the size, athleticism, the passion, just fantastic. And I think that he's going to be carrying the torch. Once LeBron's gone, it's going to be him and it's going to be Doncic and
Zion.
And
so
Zion,
Sam, stop me when I'm wrong. Okay, will you stop me when I'm wrong? Maybe this
stop you when you're wrong.
Yeah,
okay.
Stop me when I'm. This
podcast over. Just kidding. Go ahead.
No, Luka will, and I know you just said you're not big about awards, but Luka will open the season next year top 3 in MVP chances odds.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Can I say something even if you're right?
Yeah.
Okay, you're right. I agree.
Luka will next year be first team All-NBA.
Yes.
Luka will win a title in his career.
That's hard to do.
Stop.
Yeah, I think. No, I think. I mean, I think he will.
He has an owner who isn't afraid to spend money. He has
right. Yeah, that's true.
Compliments well. Dallas goes from Dirk to Luka. I mean, are you kidding me? That's good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? If Dirk won a title, I think Luka will win one too. Yes. Okay, so you're not wrong.
Luka, if you were to pick one player to start any franchise with right now, and any player in the league, your first pick is Luka Doncic.
Correct.
That's crazy.
I would take him over Giannis right now. I would. And
Over
that's
I would
insane because Giannis is, something
I
special.
would
But I
too,
think
over Zion, over Ja, over everyone. Luka is it. Sam, this is Luka's NBA. This is his league. And he took it against the team that had the best defense, against the finals MVP. He went toe-to-toe, and he won.
he's giving them as many fits as LeBron's going to give them, I think.
Now, they're getting waxed tonight as we talk.
Who, Dallas?
Yeah.
Well, that series, they have no shot in that series. They're too young. You're not going to beat Kawhi and Paul George and all that veteran team.
115-91 as we're recording, 10 minutes to go in the fourth.
No, I knew that series wasn't going to, the Mavericks had very little shot. You've got to be a veteran team to win in the playoffs, to win big. And they're just too young. He's going to take his lumps. That team's going to take their lumps. And I like that team overall. I like Porzingis. I like, some of the players who are kind of unsung guys on that team. I like Jalen Brunson a lot. He's a winner. I like Seth Curry is a nice player for them. So, that team's a few pieces away and mostly, and what's the guy's name? Maxi Keebler or whatever. He's a nice player. I think that team's a few pieces away still, but I'll tell you what.
Got a great coach, Carlisle, perennially underrated coach. Never gets mentioned, I feel like. I think he's
very good coach. Yeah. I've never, even when Dirk was there, I've just never paid much. I shouldn't say I never paid much attention to the Mavericks. I just haven't been like, it seems like Chase I've been alive long enough that there's always been a team to me every year that I've been real intrigued to watch and couldn't wait to watch. This is the first time I felt that way about the Mavericks, even though they were great. This is with Dirk and that team, this is the first time I thought, wow, what's that?
And we're missing out on the X Factor, Boban.
Yeah, you know what?
Baby.
yeah. You know what Boban is? He's a guy who's just happy to be 7'5".
Super
That's
fun
what he is.
team.
Yeah.
And I hope they're
going to add some intriguing pieces.
Yep.
They're going to add some intriguing pieces, and within the next couple of years, they could be. Yeah, you never know.
Well, that does it for this episode of Cavs on the Break NBA podcast. Thank you all so much for downloading and listening. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Cavs on the Break. We always follow back. Shouts to the Press Play Podcast Network for making this possible. Make sure to follow Sam on Twitter at Amico Hoops. Catch all of his work and writings on Sports Illustrated analysis, player quotes, interviews, insider info. Do not miss out. Sam, any final thoughts, brother?
That's all I got right now. Keep in mind the draft may be pushed back from October 16th to maybe closer to the start of November. So it could be a while, and the Cavs could be able to figure out, have more time to figure out some options before the draft takes place. But I'm sure we'll have like at least 3 or 4 more podcasts before then, right?
Hopefully. I mean, if you look at our track record, maybe not. I don't know.
No, we're going to go one a week, baby.
We had a lot of momentum before COVID hit, and then that kind of.
And then you had a baby too. You had another baby.
I did have a son. Yes. But we'll do an in-depth mock draft here the next couple weeks here.
That'd be great.
We'll bring someone on and we'll have some fun. But Sam, Mike Breen even gave a double bang on Luka's game winner. So Mike, we love you, man. Take us out.
Congratulations, Cleveland. Your decades-long wait is finally over. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.